Okay, so now let's talk about shifts in supply. So similar concept, except supply is upward sloping. So let's pretend that you're a producer for a minute, right? You're not going to want to sell lots and lots of a product. If it's super cheap, you're not going to make much profit. But if you make a lot of profit, you're more likely to produce more. So that's why the supply curve is upward sloping. So as the price increases, there is more quantity produced. And as the price goes down, there is less quantity produced. So again, just like demand, you can have shifts in the supply. So supply can shift left or right. So anytime a supply shifts left, it's because suppliers are less willing and less able to produce a certain good or service. And if supply shifts right, it's because suppliers are more willing and more able to produce a certain good or service. So pretty much opposites. So reasons for shifts in supply. So let's look at an example again. So let's say I have land again, and I'm producing apples. So here we have the supply curve for apples, and then we have a lot of things that can influence it. So production cost. So what if I'm leasing the land and it's actually quite expensive to lease my land? I'm less likely to want to keep producing apple. Maybe I'll produce less. Maybe I'll lease a small amount of land and produce less apples because it's too expensive for me. So shift left because I'm less willing and less able to produce. Productivity, again, depends on the product. So I'm producing apples. Let's say I don't have any machinery to harvest those apples. Let's say I'm the one hand-picking those apples and packing them every single day. Not very productive. I'm less willing to supply. Climatic conditions, so that's a really big one, especially in my example here. So if we have a drought, and I work in the apple industry, it's probably not going to look too great for me. So climatic conditions can influence supply a lot. So again, if there's a drought, I'm supplying apples, supply shifts left, just because I'm just not able to produce as many apples anymore. Restrictions, so if the government restricts my apple production and says every farmer is only allowed to produce 100 apples per day, I'm not going to be able to produce as many either. Business confidence, so if I have a look at the news and I see that people don't like eating apples anymore, I'm probably going to be less willing to keep producing apples. So different things that could influence supply. If you want to see what shifts supply to the right, think of anything that would make someone more willing and more able to produce. So things that make people more willing to produce are lower production costs. So anything that makes it cheaper to supply something. Okay, so those are shifts in supply. They happen when there's an increase or decrease in supply at any given price. Now let's look at expansions and contractions in supply. So expansions in supply, that's when there's an increase in supply at a certain price. So again, let's say I'm producing apples and the supermarket tells me they can pay me $5 per kilo of apples instead of my usual $2 per kilo of apples. I'm likely to produce more apples just because the price of apples has changed. It's not at any given price, it's just because of that one price that has changed. So yeah, that's more about the movement. So movement, price-based factors, shift is non-price factors.